Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to another episode of Grief Talk, where I have with me a very special guest, Ada Malave, with me. How are you today, Ada?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
So, for those meeting you for the first time, could you share a little about yourself and the journey that brought you to grief and transformation coaching?
Yes, well, it's been a couple of years. Um, I believe the calling came from a lot of my own personal journeys. And as far as coaching, like when you're that person people come to for some kind of advice, well, I was that kind of person. And even at work, I worked with the public, so I was a civil servant, so I was helping others. And once I retired, I said, well, what am I going to do now? And I felt like I still had a lot of life in me, still do. And I decided to go into coaching. At the time, the pandemic flared up
Mhm.
and everything was online. So I said, okay, this is where I'm going. I'll do coaching. And then the year after that, after I certified as a life coach, I saw that another university was giving a thanatology course on online. Again, I said, okay, this is more or less what I was looking for. I wanted something because of all the grief journeys that I went through, and I saw the lack of information, empathy from family members and friends and anyone around to understand the whole process. Because we just like pushed it to the side. Oh, they passed away, or you lost your job, or you lost your health. It's sort of like, okay, address it and that's it. But there's more to it than that. And I felt that I was able to provide more support to those individuals that were going through grief, either losing a loved one, like I said, or health or job or country or home or even their pets. A lot of people don't even think that losing a pet is important,
Of
or
course,
even miscarriage. And I've had a few of those. And yeah, and no acknowledgement in that aspect of losing is something that we should be addressing because it does mark us at some point.
grief is so often misunderstood or avoided in many cases. So, how would you personally define grief, and how has your understanding of it evolved over time?
Yeah, grief is something that well, society has, well, at least the Western culture doesn't talk about too much. They don't want to talk about it. They shush about it. And I believe in losing someone or the process of grief is all part of life. I mean, you're born and then at some point you're going to pass away. You're going to transition into, my belief is into another form of energy.
Mhm.
This body is just rental, what I say,
Yeah, of
you know,
course.
the soul, the energy that runs it will continue on. And I believe in that because I studied also spiritualism for like 7 years. And being a yogi right now, just emphasizes everything else that I've learned. And there's life with death, and there's love with death.
Of course.
So,
In
yeah.
your work as a transformational coach, what are some of the most common emotional blocks you see in people who are grieving a loss?
The most common
Yeah.
is acknowledging what you're feeling and sitting with it
Yeah.
and like saying, okay, I'm angry. This is anger, what I'm going through. Not push it to the side, but process it. And in order to go to a journey of healing, you need to process the anger, the the self-doubts, like the shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I could have been there, maybe they wouldn't have passed away. Um, Fear. We all have to sit with it and understand fear. Why are we fearful? And once we acknowledge these feelings and we sit with them and process them, when I say sit with them, I mean really sit with them, not just say, oh, I'm angry. No, sit a few minutes, even an hour or a day or whatever it takes you to go and process through that emotion. Because as children, we're not taught to process emotion.
Yeah.
We're told, don't cry.
Yeah.
If you fall, don't cry. Shut up, don't speak. So we're holding back a lot of emotions and we need to release them.
Yeah.
We need to release them in order to heal.
When we talk about releasing emotions and connecting with them and sitting with them, just as you mentioned, do you think NLP can play a role for people who are grieving?
Yes, they can. There's a couple of techniques that we can use, providing that the client or the family member, sometimes we could help them as well. We could use timelines going back to when you can actually recall when you went through these periods of, I don't know, maybe not good enough, uh, speaking up, anger, disappointment. We can take the client on a timeline backwards, to the first time possibly that they can recall. I went through a timeline myself. I recall something from 2 years old. So
Oh,
the
okay.
brain is a beautiful organ. So
Yes, it is.
we can remember a lot more than what we give ourselves credit for. And going through that acknowledgement of that timeline of the feelings that we went through can help you process a lot, especially individuals that haven't fully processed their grief and they want to go back to see where possibly the first time they grieved and maybe they didn't grieve it completely. They didn't go through the acceptance period. But we all know that acceptance period is just something that we go through just to acknowledge it. It doesn't mean that we accept the person died. We still miss that person. We'll still continue grieving that person.
I'm now intrigued that, grief can affect every area of life, like relationships, career, health. So, in your experience, where does it tend to show up the most expectedly?
I would say in your health.
Yeah.
If we, like I was saying before about the emotions, if we don't express our emotions, and if you haven't read the book yet, the body keeps the score. It's just another reflection of what I'm saying. That if we hold in stuff and we don't let go of it, our body will retain it and will be affected by the anguish, the anger, the nervousness, your stomach. You don't want to get up. You feel lethargic. Um, wow, so many things can happen. Your back, I mean, you'll be surprised. Your muscles, you'll have a lot of immune diseases pop up.
Yeah.
Fibromyalgia, you name one of them, just to name one of them. Uh, so many can pop up in your bloodstream.
Yeah, and that's the
Uh,
thing with grief that I can say from my experience also that when I lost my husband, the first thing was I forgot myself. I didn't take care of my health. I was not sleeping well. I was not eating well. And I did not pay attention to any of these things till it got so much worse. Till there came a
until it
time
got,
where I just had to stop and pause and see where I was at. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. So yeah, this is the thing that people who are grieving, they stop taking care of themselves. And of course, that can show up as any kind of physical ailment.
And I found, especially in women, a lot of women, I remember the beginning of coaching, I started seeing a lot of women with the fibromyalgia. And I'm like, okay, so it's popping up as fibromyalgia. Um, and then as women, we're always giving.
Yeah.
We're always giving,
Yeah.
but we don't like to receive help.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
That's so
that's
true.
another mindset change that has to occur at some point,
Exactly.
that we have to start receiving. It's just like when we're on the planes, and they've mentioned this so many times, put on the oxygen mask first before you can even help anybody.
Yeah.
So this is something that I try to reflect back at especially women,
Yeah.
always giving, giving, and not wanting to receive. And if they receive, oh no, no, like they don't deserve it. Yeah, they do deserve it.
So this brings me to ask you, what's one belief about grief you wish more people would let go of?
Um, I'm just thinking of all the
Take your
things
time.
that people
Take your
say.
time.
People say when they're in the funerals, or when they're we have an angel in heaven now. They're not suffering no more. Um, all these little memes, I guess you call them.
Yeah.
But what I can say is, I don't know. I see grief so much more part of love than anything else. Because if we didn't love that person, we wouldn't be grieving them.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be missing them.
Yeah.
And that's all part of love, and it's part of growth. So I see grief as love, growth, um, so many different roads to take.
Yeah.
And it's all up to you.
Yeah. So I really want to talk about your book, which you recently published, titled Serenity After the Storm.
Yes, yes, my book.
What inspired you to write it, and what does a storm represent in your life?
Um, Last year, June 2024, I went on a trip to Italy with a group of coaches.
Mhm.
It was sort of like a retreat. And one of the events that we were running was sort of like a master class. And one of the options were to write a list of your bucket list.
Okay.
And I didn't think of it, but I saw on the list that I write a book. And I'm like, write a book? Really? Why do I want to write a book?
Okay.
I don't know. So then after that, when I got back to the States, I mean to Puerto Rico, I got connected with a book coach, and we started working on it. And I said, okay. I went through a clinic of writing and see how that would run. And then when the clinic was finished, I decided that I was going to go for the book. I was going to write the book. And the book was, like I had mentioned before, sometimes we don't release a lot of stuff that we have inside. And I felt like I had a lot in the spectrum of grief that I really didn't address at some point or another in my life. And I said, well, I think this is the book that is going to help me. And if anyone gets anything out of it, amen. So I wrote the book, Serenity After the Storm, with the memoirs of my own journeys, my own losses. And I also included some Hatha Yoga poses and holistic guide part to it, where the breathing, meditation, visualization. I even included some face yoga poses, which was very minimum, but I at least show that there's other ways of releasing a lot of the stuff that we hold on to.
Wonderful.
And yeah, Serenity is my granddaughter. Her name is Serenity.
Lovely. Lovely.
And what popped up when I wrote the book, I mean, when I saw the cover, this is part of the cover.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you could see it, but it's a lady standing out on the cliff looking out to the water, and yet although it's dark and it's stormy, the light is in front of her, meaning there is hope that there will be light in her life. And yeah, so there's a lot of my own journeys, relationships lost, miscarriages. I didn't write about my pet, but my pet did pass away at some point. Um, my uncle, my father, my mother, my son-in-law, who was only 31, the whole relationship changed with my daughter and myself because at some point she had to move here to Puerto Rico so I can help her with the 3 kids. And it was a blessing also because I got to spend time with my kids and they got to spend time with my mother, which they wouldn't have done if they stood in Virginia. So you got to look at the positiveness of everything that happens. And yeah, I lost my boyfriend as well in 2018. We were together like for 10 years, 8 or 10 years, yeah. And that loss, and that was my last loss as far as loved ones. But we go through our journeys with our health and moving and stuff like that. So one of the mentions also was when I moved from New York to Puerto Rico. I had never lived here.
Mhm.
And that transition with the kids and buying a house and everything was like, you miss your family in New York, but yet you have to establish a new one here. But I was closer to my mom here, and I was with her for the last few years of her life. And that meant a lot to me.
Hearing you say all this really makes me realize that, everything happens for a reason. We don't really know sometimes why some things happen in life and why they don't go as we might want them to. But, yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
universe has a way of making things happen. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, for someone who's feeling like their storm is never going to pass, what gentle words of hope would you want to offer them right now?
One of the things that I always say, there's always an answer for a problem. And NLP reinforces that with that saying. There's always an answer for any problem. And I always told that to my kids. I says, no matter what you go through in life, there's always an answer. You might not like it, you might not accept it, but you'll see it, maybe not at the moment, but later on. And then when you look back at it, you'll see the positive growth that happened because of that.
So, Ada, how do you personally take care of yourself and you're holding space for others in their deepest pain?
Physically, I'm always in the gym or doing yoga classes or giving yoga. I meditate at least twice a day. Visualizations. I try to write as much as I can in a day, maybe 10, 15 minutes, reading. And that helps me focus on me so I can focus on other people, so I can focus on you when you're present. I want to be totally present when I'm with the client. I don't want to be thinking about anything else. And I usually take about 10, 15 minutes before I see a client and just sit and be quiet and be still and be focused on what's coming up next.
Okay, so if you have to leave our viewers with one message when they're going through grief, what would that message be?
Wow, so many things.
Okay, you can say more than one, whatever you feel like saying.
Um, in the book, I included the Serenity prayer, and the Serenity prayer is simple but very powerful. And Let me see if I remember. I always forget the last few lines, but let me see if I can remember. Okay. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. And it just keeps going on. A couple of more lines to that, but the beginning of the serenity prayer is so powerful. So I would say that give me the power to be patient, even with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ida, for being here, for taking out the time, for opening your heart, letting us all in, sharing your story. It has been a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Ada, for being here and sharing your story. Your journey through grief and the way you've transformed that pain into purpose is very inspiring. To those watching or listening, if you felt seen, understood, or supported by this conversation, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Grief Talk, and share it with someone who might be in the middle of their own story. This space is for all of us, the grievers, the healers, the ones still searching for language around it. Thank you for being with us. Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering with love and living forward with grace. We'll see you next time. Take care of your heart.